What is up, guys? Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Kevin Crates. This is the channel where we go over to crypto news followed by 5 charts every day. Today we're looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Matic, Quant, and SNX. And as always, timestamps are down in the description below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that bell on to catch notifications for all daily uploads. We have not seen this kind of action in the market in months, guys. This is absolutely insane. Bitcoin pushing towards 43,000, Ethereum into the 2,900s. As far as the entire market goes, it is just pumping across the market. We're going to be diving into the charts in a moment to take a look at price action. Even ICP is having a great day, up around 28%. I mean, everything across the market is reflecting the fact that Bitcoin is finally potentially pushing out of that range it has been in for months, and Ethereum is leading the way. If we take a look at this website here behind me again, if you have not seen this website, etherchain.org/burn, it is tracking all the Ethereum being burned. We are now at 7,320.1 Ethereum burned. And I bet you're all wondering, what does this mean for the future of Ethereum's price action? And the honest truth is, nobody knows. We have never dealt with a deflationary Ethereum, and what this is going to result in is really just a matter of waiting to find out. But as far as the last few days have shown us, Ethereum is just pumping nonstop. We're going to dive into the charts, and we're going to take a look at all this price action and talk about what could happen next. Looking at Bitcoin's daily chart, let's zoom in here. Before we even turn on our notes from last time, let's just turn Ichimoku off for just a moment and take a look at Bitcoin's price action. You can see here Bitcoin is pressed right up against 43.3, 43.4 just around the time of filming this. Price action right now is around 43.2. Bitcoin is now pushing pretty close to potentially finally exiting the range it has been trading in since pretty much May 19th, May 18th. This is absolutely insane. If we turn on the Ichimoku now, I mean, this is entirely Ethereum led, but as far as price action goes, even looking at the daily, we can see Bitcoin is pretty much setting up for a potential breakout. So let's turn on our notes from before, jump to the 4-hour chart and talk a little bit about price action. So this is a much better looking 4-hour chart than what we were looking at yesterday. You can see here the Kumo cloud is kind of twisted together, showing the possible signs of an uptrend. Bitcoin broke out of the Kumo cloud, pressed right up against these higher resistance levels that we talked about. And at this point, in my opinion, if Bitcoin can just press a little bit higher in price, there is no reason that it can't push back to some of these higher price targets up here. As far as price action goes, Bitcoin looks bullish. There is no denying that. If I turn off all these notes, we compare it to Ethereum's 4-hour chart. There is no mystery as to who is carrying the market right now. It is the brand new deflationary Ethereum, and it really is a matter of a question as to how this is all going to play out. There really is no way to know. We've never dealt with an Ethereum that has become deflationary. This is huge as far as price action goes for Bitcoin. Let's turn these notes back on and talk a little bit about price targets. As far as price targets go for Bitcoin, it all depends on Ethereum. If Ethereum continues to pump, Bitcoin will most likely break. I mean, it's pressed right up against the possibility of pushing out of this range finally after all these months. If we turn off all these notes, jump back to the daily chart, you can clearly see here Bitcoin is ready to pop out of this range and potentially push up in price aggressively. So in that scenario, my price targets will be around 45,000 will be my initial price target, and above that 48.7. And this is all dependent on Ethereum. This is not a Bitcoin-led pump. Bitcoin is very clearly lagging behind Ethereum on so many different indicators and so many different time frames. This is an entirely Ethereum-led pump. So it all depends on Ethereum. If Ethereum stops pumping, I'll start to keep my eye on some of these pullback targets, initially around 41.6, below that 40.2, and below that 38.7 is that main one we've always talked about around the 200 EMA. If Bitcoin dips below there, things could get pretty bearish. I keep my eye on 37.2 and 36.3, but you could really just leave these out of the discussion for now. Maybe not this one, but I'd be surprised to see either of these get hit. So as far as price targets go, all dependent on Ethereum. The initial breakout I keep my eye out for is around 45,000. Above there, 48.7. Pullback targets, I will be keeping my eye on the possibility of it hanging out in this range for the time being, trading around 42.6 and 43,000 and kind of just ranging in there. But if Ethereum starts to dip, I would keep my eye on 41.6, 40.2, and below that 38.7. But my initial breakout target for the time being, since everything does look decently bullish, will be around 45,000. But again, all depends on Ethereum. So if Ethereum starts to dip, I keep my eye on these pullback targets, 41.6, 40.2, and 38.7. Looking at Ethereum's daily chart, let's turn our notes on from before. As far as price action goes, Ethereum has now hit pretty much every price target we've talked about. So we're going to have to talk about a new game plan for Ethereum. But I just want to turn off these notes, jump to the weekly chart. For those of you who are new here, we talked about this before, that if Ethereum can manage to get above this price range of around 28.37, 28.50, Ethereum is in a whole new zone. And if it can manage to keep pumping from here, as far as there's a day and there's about 2 days left until this candle closes. And if this candle can close above 28.50, in my opinion, that is a very, very bullish weekly close for Ethereum. I mean, again, compare Ethereum's weekly chart to Bitcoin's weekly chart. Now, Bitcoin does need to get back above 47,000. And from those breakout targets that we just looked at, Bitcoin is also set up to go back into a bullish state. But Ethereum is the one that is leading the charge. If Ethereum closes in the range that it's already in or pushes any higher, that is absolutely huge. That is a massive bullish change in both of these charts. They are both looking very, very different than they did back when Bitcoin was pressing towards the Kumo cloud. We were all talking about these lower price targets. We did talk about the possibility of a relief bounce. I don't think anybody expected a relief bounce of this level, but Ethereum is the one that is leading this charge. And as far as price action goes, let's jump back to the daily. Let's talk about price targets, because Ethereum, in my opinion, is not done pumping. So as far as price action goes, let's move some of these price targets around. So I would look for a pullback to around 27.96. Below that, I keep my eye on 26.53, and below that, I'd still keep my eye on that 24.65 range. But if we turn off all these notes, zoom out, I mean, the same story as Bitcoin. Ethereum is potentially setting up for a breakout on the daily. So where would price action go for Ethereum? If Ethereum does break out of that range, the first place I would keep an eye on is right around this range. So approximately around 3,200. I mean, that would not surprise me as far as price action goes for Ethereum, even possibly higher than that. It is showing a bit of a struggle around this 3,000, 2,900 range. But I mean, if we turn off these notes, look at all of the daily candles that Ethereum has put in. It deserves to pull back and rest a little bit if it needs to. I don't think this is going to get bearish anytime soon. I mean, it could. This does need a correction, but at the same time, there is Ethereum being burned every minute, and that is not something the market has ever dealt with. There really is no way to know until at least a week or so passes of how this is really going to affect price action for Ethereum. So all we can really do, in my opinion, is keep an eye on price targets. If Ethereum continues to pump, if Ethereum claims 2,900 and pushes towards 3,000, I would not be surprised to see Ethereum end up around 32.85. Now, if Ethereum loses steam at any point and pulls back, I keep my eye on 27.96 and below that 26.35. Let's jump over to the 4-hour chart, turn off all these notes for a moment, and take a look at Ethereum's 4-hour chart. I mean, this looks very bullish. There really isn't much else to say other than that. Ethereum, since around July 20th, has not once throughout this pump would I look at this 4-hour chart and say this doesn't still look bullish. This just looks like it's climbing. I mean, look where the conversion line is. Look where the baseline is. Look how far they are from the Kumo cloud. Kumo cloud just showing a nice, healthy, consistent uptrend. Lagging span way back out there. Yes, stochastic RSI is high. I mean, all indicators at this point are high, but I don't see any current signals of this losing steam at the moment. I think Ethereum could keep pumping into the 3,000s or higher, but as far as these daily green candles go, yes, that is too many daily green candles, but I don't feel that this is a hype-driven pump at this point. Ethereum is deflationary, and it's really just a matter of waiting to find out if that's what's driving the price up the way that it is, or if this is potentially hype-driven. I don't personally think it is, but we're going to have to wait and see. Either way, I'll be keeping an eye on all these price targets. First one being Ethereum's got to get above 2,900, which it's showing strength to do so. If it does consolidate in this range, even on the 4-hour chart, price targets would be very similar to what I just laid out on the daily. They'd be around 27.96, so we could call that 2,800. Below that, I keep my eye on maybe around 26.87. And then some signals that Ethereum actually is losing steam would be anytime on this 4-hour chart where it would maybe test out this Kumo cloud, because it has not done that since this whole pump has really been going on. a little bit around here, but it didn't even quite come that close to it. If I turn off these notes, you can see a little bit better. So the indication that maybe Ethereum is losing steam would be a little bit of a run-in with this Kumo cloud on the 4-hour chart, which would be around 2634, somewhere around here, 2600 or below. That would be an indication that Ethereum is losing steam. But Ethereum looks good to go in my opinion. So as far as price targets go on the daily, if it breaks above 2,900 to 3,000, I would not be surprised to see Ethereum challenge 3285. As far as pullback targets go, I'll be keeping my eye on 2796, below that 2687, and the indication that Ethereum is potentially losing a bit of steam would be around 2600. Looking at Matic's daily chart, let's zoom in here. You can see Matic's chart is still decently bullish, not really showing a sign of a trend change on the daily Kumo cloud, but it is showing the possibility of challenging the Kumo cloud, which Matic has not done. So let's turn on our notes from before. If Matic can show strength above 112, I would not be surprised to see Matic push up in price towards around 130. It will run into a bit of resistance here around, I believe that's 122, 123. But if Matic makes it into the Kumo cloud, I would not be surprised to see it come around here around 127, 129, 130, somewhere in that range and above there, possibly even 140. As far as pullbacks go, I keep my eye on 104 and below that 91, but Matic pumping with Ethereum is not a big surprise. This all really depends on if Ethereum can keep pumping, and that's kind of the narrative across the entire market. As long as Ethereum keeps pumping up in price, we should see the most of the market reflect that. So as far as price action goes for Matic, let's jump to the 4-hour chart and take a look at what's going on there. Matic's 4-hour chart doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look great either, to be honest, but as far as price action goes, it's not a surprise that it's reflecting the bullish momentum of Ethereum. So again, everything depends on Ethereum continuing to pump. You can see a bit of a trend change here on the 4-hour, but it's very thin. I wouldn't be surprised to see that twist back into a green cloud and prices push up from there. Matic does need to get above 113, 112, which is that price range that we see here as well. But from there, Matic could push up in price. And if we jump back to the daily, it all really just depends on seeing prices push above 112. If Matic gets above 112 with strength, we see it trading around 114. I would not be surprised to see Matic trading around 123 to 126 to 130 or above. But if Ethereum does start to dip, Matic should also dip in price. Matic tends to dip kind of hard as well. So as far as pullback targets go, I keep my eye on 104. Below that, I keep my eye on anywhere from around 87 to 90 cents, and below that 72 cents. I'd be surprised to see Matic get back down to 72 cents anytime soon. A little bit below $1 is always possible depending on what kind of dip we see from Ethereum, but I'd be surprised by that for the time being. I'd be keeping my eye on around 104, potentially around 92 cents as well. But as far as a breakout, I need to see Matic get above 112, 114, show strength. Bit of a run in around 123 with that resistance level. But if Matic can push up and at the very minimum challenge 126 and push above, Matic can go anywhere from 130 to 139. So price targets for Matic for the time being needs to show strength above 112, 114. Bit of resistance at 123 and 126. Pullback targets 104 to 92 cents. Looking at Quant's daily chart, and for anybody who's new here, this is Quant's Binance daily chart. So we're going to drop the time frame all the way down to 1 hour so we can get a bit of decent information. And from there, we are going to turn on our notes from last time and talk about Quant's price action. So for those of you who aren't new here, you know I've been keeping an eye on Quant every day since it got listed on Binance. As far as price action goes, I'm still expecting it to end up around 125 to 132. It's very interesting today keeping an eye on Quant as the entire market was pumping and Quant was very clearly setting up to drop down in price, and that does not look like it's done on the hourly. And if we jump to the 2-hour chart, you can see here it is also potentially finally setting up on the 2-hour chart to continue to dump down in price. If prices dip lower around this range of 147 to 150, we should see a dump down in price, potentially around 135 to 125, because Quant is gotten too high in price, and we've already talked about that. And we talked about the fact that this is just the hourly chart on Binance. Please keep in mind this picture behind me is Quant's full chart. Quant has gone parabolic in a straight line, and if anybody at this point thinks there will not be a massive correction, well, we'll wait a few days and we'll talk about it again. But as far as price action goes, you guys have to keep this in mind, that this level of price action is always followed by a correction. I mean, the one behind me, take a look at that. That's just a straight line So as far as price action goes, we're finally seeing indication, especially with the entire market dumping today, the quant is starting to head back down in price. And in my opinion, it's going to end up around 132 to 125. And you can see here on the hourly, even as I'm filming this, the dump is continuing. And on the 2 hour, it's setting up for it. It should take maybe a few hours, maybe 24 hours that we do see it trend down to around 150, 145, and potentially lower from there. But quant is again a very bullish project, and at this level of momentum, especially with Ethereum pumping the way that it is, it does give quant the opportunity to catch itself at these higher price targets, maybe bounce around 156. It's around 158 now, so we'll find out soon. But if quant bounces around 156, again, it does have the possibility to push up. I wouldn't be surprised to see it maybe bounce around 156, push back to 166, 165, and then trend down in price from there to around 143. Looking at SNX's daily chart, let's start our notes on from before and zoom in here and jump to the 4-hour chart. SNX, in my opinion, looks extremely bullish. If we turn off these notes, zoom out, you can see a straight uptrend. As far as price action goes, it's going to run into a bit of resistance around 11.2. But if SNX can claim 11.2, I would not be surprised to see SNX at the very least challenge $12. But SNX, in my opinion, has the possibility to push anywhere from $13 to $15. Leading up to the optimism launch, if we turn off these notes and zoom out here, you can see SNX wanted to turn bullish, but right around here is when Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything started dipping down to the lower ranges. And you can see even then SNX tried to hang on to the Kumo cloud and did not dip too far below, re-challenged it, pushed back into the Kumo cloud, and there really is very little resistance ahead for SNX. So as long as Ethereum allows the market to keep pumping, I would not be surprised by an SNX breakout. Keep my eye on the price targets that we just talked about, 11.2 being the initial resistance, above there $12, and above there anywhere from $13 to $15. Pullback targets anywhere from 9.5 to 8.8 for SNX. All right, folks, that's all for today. If there's any charts you want to look at in the future, leave it down in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn that bell on to catch notifications for all daily uploads. If you're not following me on Twitter, KevinCrates_ on Twitter. I'm extremely active on there. Anytime you tweet at me, I will always tweet back at you. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'm out.